Hi, my name is V, like the letter, but with two E's in it. And today I want to talk about why I almost quit world history. No, but seriously, yes. Today I want to talk about Oroonoko. What is Oroonoko, you ask? That's wonderful. Oroonoko is a story about the royal slave, which is just about this story about slavery. This prince who was captured and became a slave. And it sounds like a heartfelt, tragic story, and yes, it is in a sense, but I want to talk about the little things that really upset me about this book, because I just um as you can infer, this is going to take place like the 1600s, but it's not really North America, it's South America. But it takes place in this place called Suriname. So anyways, I'm sorry for being disorganized, but I took my notes earlier this morning and I thought I was going to finish, but then the app I was using to take the notes on completely deleted everything, and I just didn't feel like rewriting it all again. So here we are. So our prince is the narrator, and no, he's not. The narrator is our trusty unidentified white woman, English woman, who I guess we're supposed to like because she's accepting or appreciative of the cultures and things about other ethnicities other than her own. But I guess she loves it so much that it seems like she rather prefers that than her own. We love a progressive girl, as progressive as you can be in the 1600s, if such a thing existed back then. But she becomes a friend of Oroonoko, and as much friendship as you can have between a white woman who society rules has more worth and power in her left pinky than the black man the entire Negro can ever hope to have in his entire body. But I digress. So anyways, they become friends, and this is basically her telling his story. Cool. So yeah, this white woman is the one that tells you the story of a slave. Yeah. So anyways, reading this, you can assume that the narrator is actually the author of the woman who she's known as Aphra Behn, Aphra, Aphra Behn. And I'm not really interested in talking about her. I don't think it really does anything to the story much. But you should check her out. She's a very interesting woman. She was a spy. Yeah, she was a spy and really famous before this book. Like, this book really made her famous and successful. So this book was successful because it utilized a female protagonist, where other books back then, like if a female wrote it, like no one was paying attention, but people paid attention to this one, and people actually listened. She was really moving. She was moving differently than other women at the time, and shedding light on the horrors of colonial trade, slave trade. Anyways, so because I don't want to lose focus like I am already doing now, I'm going to stick to 3 points, because you can really talk so much about this book. Like, if you can find evidence on it, like you can talk about I don't know, like the religion. You can talk about the whole thing about honor, slavery. You can talk about a lot of things, but I will limit myself to 3, and the 3 are: number 1, the beauty standard, the European beauty standard. Number 2 is the renaming of African people who are forced into slavery, and 3 is the impact of Christianity. Those 3. I really wish I had a ring light so you guys can see me better, because I feel like I'm making some kind of home video. I am, but I want it to look good, and like people actually want to watch me in a way. But I don't know. I have like 3 lights on right now, so I'm making do with what I can. So anyways, number 1, the beauty standard, the European beauty standard. So European beauty standard is, you know, the ideal beauty standard in our society, even way back then. And basically what it is it has the characteristics of the slender, narrow nose, the nice, straight, long hair, the very light skin tone, probably maybe blondish or something, you know, just very European, Roman-ish. And these standards are not they're not like achievable, right? They're not really like, not everyone can obtain it. You know, you either have straight hair or you don't. you either have blue eyes or you don't. You either have lighter skin or you don't. But I guess today you can achieve them through surgery and other stuff, but normally you can't do it. Like, not everyone can do that. So the Europeans, obviously, you know, the colonial, when they came, they pushed a bunch of things, and beauty was also one of them. And this is what everyone was trying to aspire to be. And because this is ideal, you're regarded as more attractive, people want to be around you more, and you're just considered by society as just better looking. And that gains you privileges, I would even say. And the thing is that these beauty standards are expected on Caucasians, right? So if you aren't Caucasians, you're not expected, it's not expected that you have these characteristics, and that's fine. But if you're not Caucasian and you do have these characteristics, then you are considered what I guess would be called unique or exotic. And I see this a lot in Black women who like, I guess would have these characteristics. People will call them exotic or different, or, oh, you must be mixed with something. That's the one they always use more. You must be mixed with something. And because it's different, you're like an outlier, and this outlier makes you attractive, it makes you different, it makes people want to be around you more, because you're not like the rest of the group, like what is expected of the group, right? And this is basic kind of an ego boost as well. So that's what we see in Oroonoko, the prince and his woman, his wife, Imwanda. These two are regarded very much as not having the typical characteristics of Africans, with the big nose, the skin, the really dark skin, or even the I guess the big plump lips. They don't have that. So this is what really pushes them forward to be, I guess, different in the show, in the book, because while the other slaves were getting the full treatment of slavery, you have Oroonoko and you have his wife who are not really treated like slaves. They are slaves in name. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find evidence for how they describe them. They are only slaves in name, but not slaves in how they're treated, not slaves in how they feel. They don't feel trapped. They don't feel like, you know, like they're suffering or they have a need for escape. At least not yet. And and this really is what boggles my mind, because it's such a shallow explanation. It's the reason why they're being treated so well is so shallow. But not only is it shallow, it actually mirrors, I would even say, society today. Like, if you're really attractive by society standards, you have pretty privileges. You have pretty privileges, right? And these pretty privileges get you access and, you know, You're allowed to do things that other people wouldn't. The average person with the average beauty, the average common beauty, would not even dream of, could only dream of having. And you look, they are given land, they are given a home, they are have free range with these white people. Like, they are friends with their slave master, and they're not even considered slave masters. And it's ridiculous, really, because it's like, am I looking at slavery, or am I looking at a vacation at another place? Is this a stay? Is this a little vacation, a little trip? Like, what is it? You have like the black people in the background suffering, yeah, but not these two. And the thing is that in the book, when they're describing them, goodness gracious, where is it? When they're describing them, they're saying that it's only, everything's perfect, but it's just the shame that their black skin is the only thing that makes them complete. Everything else is beautiful. So Oroonoko is described as this. So she saw him for the first time at this event, like this party or something, and he introduced himself to her and like the crowd. And this is how she described him. She said he was pretty tall, but out of a shape the most exact that could be fancied. The most famous statuary could not form the figure of a man more admirably turned from head to toe. His face was not that of brown, rusty black, which most of that nation are, but of perfect ebony or polished jet. His eyes were the most beautiful that could be seen, and piercing, the white of them being like snow, as were his teeth. His nose were rising and Roman instead of African and flat. His mouth, the finest shape that could be seen, far from those great turned lips, which are so natural to the rest of the Negroes. The whole proportion and air of his face was so nobly and excellently formed that, bating his color, there could be nothing in nature more beautiful, agreeable, and handsome. There was no grace wanting that bears the standard of true beauty. His hair came down to his shoulders by the aids of art, which was by putting it out with the quill and keeping it combed, of which he took particular care. Nor did the perfections of his mind come short to those of his person. So he was not only very handsome and blessed with Roman features, but he was also intelligent. They didn't expect that. He's black, right? They don't expect that. So this is what makes him unique, exotic. This is what makes him different and stand above what they expect black people to be. And as for his woman, Imawanda, what did they describe her? They said she was female to the noble male, the beautiful black Venus to our young Mars, as charming in her person as he, and of delicate virtue. I have seen 100 white men sighing after her and making 1,000 vows at her feet, all in vain and unsuccessful, and she was indeed too great of any but a prince of her own nation to adore. She's beautiful. She's gorgeous, eye-catching, stopping. The white man want her. That's how good she is. The white man want her. And you know, back in those days, though, white men don't want black women. And if they did, it was for just lustful purposes. But no, she genuinely had it going on. And that's what I'm saying. Throughout, the only the only reason they were treated so well, it's so shallow. The only reason they were treated so well was because they had European Roman teachers. That's it. That's it. It's so shallow. It's so shallow. And actually I found myself rather offended reading this, because it's like, it's slavery. It's slavery. It's not supposed to be a vacation. It's slavery. No one is exempt just because you look good. It's ridiculous. Like, no one is exempt because you look good. It's slavery, right? But no. And I don't know if it was because the Caucasian woman was telling me this, like she was the one writing this, narrating this, or if it's just because the way she wrote the story. But I just knew that I was very taken aback by what I was reading. Trust me, you should have seen me in that class. It was like I was the only one. Figures. The second point, the renaming of African people, right? Once they, they're forced into slavery. So to give something a name, right? To give something or someone a name is to give them power, and is to give them a presence. Names are very important. Very important. So when you are given something from birth, you are called this by your loved ones, people know you as this. This is how you identify. The basic levels of identity is your name. This basic level of identity is your name. This is who you are, right? Externally, but deeply as well. This is who you are. This is what you were given, and this is what you will be called throughout your life. You are now taken from your homeland, the only place you ever know. You are taken from your homeland. You are forced into a new land and sold as property. And then the person who then buys you, your slave, like your master, now takes away one of the last few remaining remnants of your identity, of what you knew, of your home, of your old life, and gives you a different name, a name that has no resemblance to yours, no identity to your, no connection to your culture, nothing of your culture, nothing of who you are, nothing of where you came from. That's stripping somebody away of their identity. You're robbing this person right down to the core. And this is really one of the main ways slave owners really broke down Black people, like really, really took away their identity. And like, you have Black people who, they don't know where they came from. They don't know like the names, they did many different things. They took away the language, they took away your family, they took you away from your home, but they also took away your name. That's one of the main things that they did, right? So by taking away Oroonoko's name, now they didn't do this. Like his master, who in the book, I guess we're going to regard as a nice owner, because he didn't, like, he was a good man to Oroonoko, I guess, or slave master that was good, whatever. But he gave Oroonoko a name. So Oroonoko went from Oroonoko to Caesar, like Julius Caesar to Caesar. And why go on that? At first I thought, he called him that because of the whole Roman features thing. Okay. But when I finished the book, and this is where I'm honestly gonna spoil it, like, I'm sorry, but you can just skip it. But when you read the book, it's really a foreshadow of what is to come, what is going to be the fate of Oroonoko. To name him Caesar was a foreshadow, because you're saying that his fate is going to be likened to that of Caesar. And it does. It does liken to that of Caesar. Does he get betrayed by his so-called friends? Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And he goes just like him. And Caesar was this grand ruler, this grand emperor of Rome, right? And he was a great conqueror and all that stuff. And Oroonoko is similar. Oroonoko is a general. Oroonoko knows how to fight. Oroonoko is successful in battle. That's who he is. When he was in Africa, that's who he was. So they gave him this name to honor him, basically, so to say, to just honor him by giving him the name of this great man named Caesar. And interestingly enough, by taking away his name and calling him Caesar, I don't think they mentioned or Africa were his homeland again after that. No, they didn't. It's gone. He's gone from the land. His name is gone. It's gone. We now know him as Caesar. That's how she refers to him the entire time. She tells you that she's going to refer him to as Caesar. That's who he becomes. And, it's interesting because slave owners did not give black people their name because, not because, like, I don't know, like, they wanted to own you, right? Your property. You're not human, you're property. They bought you at the market. They brought you home. And as any property, you need to let people know that this is your property. This is what you own, right? And they did it because your name is not important. You're theirs now. But also because if you were to, in fact, no one can take you. If you were to, in fact, run away, and if anyone found you, they could bring you back to your master. You'll be whipped severely, but they could bring you back. It's like a dog. It's like a dog collar. You know how people put collars on their dogs? It's like that. It's like that. That's your property, right? You put a tag on it, and you put your number on it, and your name on it, and your address and whatever, so that when someone finds that animal, they can bring them back to you. Their property. That's basically the same thing. The taking away of the name is to strip them of their identity, and to give them, this is who they are now. This is who they are now. And eventually, along the generations, if that one person still remembers who they are, the more the generation goes down, the more children they have, the less remembering, the less of the identity the person originally had will remain. So now they don't know anything about their own home. They don't know anything. This is all they know now. This is who they are. They are a Brown. They are a James. They are a Blackwell. Whatever. That's who they are. This is who they are now. It's, whew. So honestly though, I always thought it was weird that slave owners would even be allowing themselves to name to give their slaves their names, because I would assume that because you don't like black people so much, you would like curl up at the idea of them even having the same name as you. But they didn't know how to say their name. Yeah, they didn't know how to say their. They didn't know how to say no African name. They couldn't pronounce it. They couldn't pronounce it if they tried. They weren't gonna. No, they couldn't pronounce it even if they tried. They weren't going to pronounce it even if they tried. So of course they would give them a different name. They would give them a name that they themselves could pronounce. It's like when you have a name that not everyone can pronounce, and then the teacher wants to nickname you. No, say my name right. Just because you can't say it, just ask me how to say it. Say my name right. They nickname them. Wow. It's like that. It's like nicknaming them because you don't know how to say the word. You don't want to go through pronouncing it. learn the words, but you don't want to learn it, so you give them a nickname. It's like that, but they stripped away the whole thing and just gave them a whole new identity. Yeah, it's like that. Finally, the impact of Christianity. Guys, religion honestly has bad history. Christianity has some bad history. There's gonna be things in religion that you don't always agree with, right? But I really believe that it's people in that religion that call themselves the believers that really make a bad name for the entire religion. Like, there are faults in there, but the way people be taking it word to word, heart to heart, like right down to it, that really is what turns everyone off to a certain religion. You see that a lot with Christianity. There's a lot of stuff that Christians do, like some Christians do, that really just turns you off to the religion. Unfortunate. So, when colonials came to a new land, other than the diseases that they brought with them, because they didn't know how to bathe, they brought with them their Christianity religion. And, of course, I mean, look at me. I wasn't born here, but I'm a Christian. They brought it. I was born in a country that was predominantly Christian. They study, they have other religion, the universe and the ancestors and stuff, but religion, Christianity was a dominant religion. So that's what they brought. And, they would force this on you because any other religion was just, no, you're a heathen at that point. You're pagan at that point if you worship anything else but Lord and Jesus Christ. And they forced that on people. That's how, a bunch of other stuff started. And I want to say that the impact of Christianity in this book is that it seems like this book is anti-Christian in a way. Anti-Christian, maybe not like an abolitionist thing, but anti-Christian, right? Anti-Christian because Oroonoko is distrustful of Christians. He is distrustful of Christians because they seem to really let him down every single time. His first encounter with the religious belief was through the guy that captured him and put him on that slave ship. It was this captain who was a Christian talking about, his religion. And he told Oroonoko that, yeah, I'll bring you back. I'll bring you back. And he kept lying to him for as long as that journey took, from his home all the way to where they were going. For as long as that journey took. And this is when Oroonoko was like, oh, so you're a liar. This is what your religion's teaching you? You claim such great things about this religion, but here you are lying to me, straight to my face, deceitful behavior that you're going to take me back to my home, but you didn't. You didn't. So when he got off to the new land, right? He basically left him with this. He's like, farewell, sir. 'Tis worth my suffering to gain so true a knowledge both of you and of your gods by whom you swear. To Oroonoko, I'm guessing this is what a Christian is to him. Disobedient, dishonest, they're liars, lacking principle. And Oroonoko doesn't like that because Oroonoko is not like that. Oroonoko is a man of honor. That's who he is. And this is how he got himself in a lot of situations because he's very trusting. Because the way he assumes other people are, the way he's going to come at other people with trust until you prove him wrong, is how he believes other people will come at him with trust and honesty. And you see that he sees that they don't do that. He sees that they don't do that. He's saying that what's the point of trusting people? Like, you're not worthy of being trusted by him if you believe in a person, in these people who believe in dishonor. Is that what they're taught by the gods that they worship? That's not a religion that he wants to be a part of, right? So when he lived the life of a slave, like I said, only in name and not in treatment, he realized that these people that he's considering their friends, they're also Christians. And they're saying that, they'll free him. But that's what the other guy said, So he's realizing that he can't take their word for it. He can't take their word for it because they're also Christians. And though they were fair to him, they weren't dishonest to him, he wants to be very cautious about this. He can't take the risk of trusting these people. And what he said, there was no faith in the white men or their gods they adored. They instructed them in principles so false that honest men could not live amongst them. Though no people professed so much, none performed so little. Never to eat and drink with Christians without his weapons of defense in his hand, and for his own security, never to credit one word they spoke. He equates them with everything the Christian faith preaches against him. Liars, cheat, hypocrites, thieves, everything. Like, he just knows that if he was to be with Christians, be amongst Christians, he has to be very cautious of, what's going on, because they could just betray him at the drop of a hat. So he no longer wants to be used as a pawn for their pleasure, for their amusement. And honestly, oftentimes I looked at it and I thought he was an amusement to them. He was an amusement to them. There was this one scene where there was this beast thing, and my gosh, and the beast came, and no one can kill the beast. None of the white people can kill the beast, who had rifles, by the way, could kill the beast. But here comes Oroonoko. I mean, yeah, he's strong, yeah, he's a hero, but you're telling me no one, even the guy with the rifle, can't defeat the beast? But here comes Oroonoko with his arm, like muscles and everything, and he takes care of the problem? Am I supposed to be happy about him? No, I think he was a joke. I think it was a joke. I think it was perpetuating a stereotype that here comes black people going against the beast, because they're beasts themselves. They're beasts themselves, and of course they're going to win against this monster, because only they can, right? So, another thing is, I said honor before, that honor is very important in this novel. And, Oroonoko has good characteristics. Even though he's a bit naive, he has good characteristics. And he serves in a princely way, right? He serves in a princely way. And any treatment to distinguish his honor anything to disgrace his honor is offensive to him, right? So that's why, I mean, that's another reason why he don't really like Christians, because they seem to always want to ruin his honor. So his initial reaction to the shock of slavery was to kill himself by means of disposal, right? Let me see. No, forget that. So the impact of Christianity is that these Christians that he trusted, these friends that he trusted, they do eventually become the one that, very horribly, by the way, like, like how Caesar was, I guess, stabbed by his friends. No, this was a horrible ending to him. Very bad. I don't want to go into it, but it was bad. So I don't know. Whenever I think about Christianity, it doesn't really do me bad, because I feel like everyone's relationship with God is very personal. So you don't have to go about it like everyone else, right? And Oroonoko's dislike of Christianity is understandable, very much so, because these people are preaching great things. And Christians have, for a long time, like historically, have had found justifications for a lot of horrible things. Slavery is no exception to it. In fact, like, it used to be like they would say that the black skin is a punishment from God. It means you're dirty. It means there's something villainous and evil about you. They've even said that it was not only punishment, because it equates to black people being descendants of Ham, one of the sons of Noah, who laughed at his father's nakedness. And they said that Ham, then he was the one that populated Africa, and all his descendants have dark skin, are black, because this is punishment from God. God is still punishing them, or us, to this day, and that's so we should all be scorned and not treated right because of what we have done and to our fathers and stuff. So okay, now that I've gone over it as much as I remember, since my notes were deleted, I want to talk about my opinion on this book. I said it before, but I didn't like this book. Not really. At least I didn't really start liking it until, like, it wasn't doing anything for me until the rebellion part of Oroonoko, where he was like, forget these people, like, I want to go. That's when I started liking it, because that section of the book where he decided to go against these so-called friends of his was bittersweet, because on one hand, he was only doing this as a consequence to something that could have been avoided. I don't really want to say much, but actually, no, forget it. It was more like a Romeo and Juliet situation that really, it really could have been avoided. But it was just, like, why? It was just consequence to what could have been avoided. And it's just, like, I have notes I took when I was reading the book, but it's just so stupid. Like, it didn't need to happen, is what I'm saying. It was like slavery no longer became comfortable, right? It was like slavery no longer became comfortable for him and his woman. So now it's hitting him that slavery is not actually what it's cracked out to be. Slavery, this is what slavery is actually like. It's not nice. It's not fun. It's not fun. Now we're seeing how the other slaves were being treated. How they weren't given land or a home or food or comfortability, and they actually had to work. They weren't as admired. They weren't pretty, so they had to go through hardships. So the rebellion was like, okay, finally, this is what slavery is like. Slavery, how slaves were actually treated, not this posh little lifestyle. It was like some kind of vacation or something. It was ridiculous. It felt like a mockery to slavery. To me, it felt like a mockery. Or, I mean, that's just how I read it. And it was offensive because of who the protagonist was, who was telling me the story, who was narrating this story. I was just baffled. And then in the end, when it was finally over, I felt both sad and relieved. Yeah, relieved because the book was over. Like, I was done reading it. Like, it was done. But the outcome was incredibly sad. It was like, gosh, like, I don't like this book, but dang. The book was, in my opinion, teetering on ignorance and awareness. Ignorance more often than not, because I kept thinking, like, there has to be a purpose to this. There has to be a purpose to this. Like, what is the purpose to what I'm reading? Why apparently slavery isn't a big thing here? Like, why am I, like, there has to be a purpose to this. But I couldn't find it. I still don't really understand it. It just stemmed of how Oroonoko and his wife were treated. That's literally it. That's just because they were pretty. That's it. That's literally because they were pretty. Because they look more attractive. They look better. They didn't look like savages. That's literally it. So shallow. It was only when Oroonoko began to rebel did he start to resemble the rest of the slaves, right? In the eyes of the slave masters. He needed to be put down. Something that needed to be put down. Forget the beauty. Now they can overlook that now. You know, I mean, for goodness sakes. Literally that animal scene. Equate him to an animal. Because like when he was fighting this beast, it was like, I was like, who is the animal and who is Oroonoko? Because I was reading it one and the same. It was ridiculous. No one else can put him down but him. Like, is that supposed to be a compliment? I didn't see it as such. I was offended for him. Like, these white people had the good sense to hide, save themselves. And here comes the Negro challenging the beast because he is what? One himself? He is one himself? Challenging the beast that this white person with the rifle to defend himself with the rifle could not stop the beast. But oh, here comes Oroonoko with muscles like a hero. It's ready to save us all. Like, get out of here. Like, this book had a lot of things I had a problem with. The beauty thing. The treatment of the slaves thing. It was just very shallow. Like, the whole culture, I guess, progressive thing. But for some reason, when the narrator speaks, she doesn't speak appreciatively of other cultures. Like, she doesn't. She talks very almost belittling to them. Like, they don't know better. Like, they're children. Like, they don't know better. Like, their culture is so primitive. Like, they don't know better. But when it comes to Oroonoko, like, he's a smart man, he's a handsome man, he's just better than everyone. And I would say that his death was honorable because I will give it to him that he wasn't scared to die. He wasn't scared of the slave owners. He didn't fear them. He didn't care. I did like that. Because I was like, yeah, I never show fear in the face of the enemy. But this book overall was very much yikes. Like, I remember being in class and I was like writing notes profusively. Like, why am I the only one upset about this? And I had group mates and they would just laugh because I was so intense about it. And it's just like, aren't you? This is ridiculous. Like, look at what you're reading. Why am I reading this? Why is this the book I have to read? As a black person. Why is it? Anyways. So, that is the end of my video. That is the end of this Oroonoko, the noble slave by Aphra Behn. I would recommend you check it out just to see what I'm talking about. It's not a very long book. It's a fiction. It's like a short work of fiction, like a little prose. It's not very long. Things go by rather quickly, so it's not like they lag. It's none of that. Maybe you'll get upset too. Maybe you'll look at it differently. I don't know, but reading it was really, it was an adventure. I woke up mad because I would read it in the morning while I'm on the bus, and I was like, dang, I don't want to read this. But you know, I got a good grade on it, and that was all that mattered. So thank you for watching. I don't know what I'll do next time. Maybe another book that I read in school. Maybe I'll finally start talking about poetry. Maybe. I don't know yet. It takes me a while to make these because I never have time to record it. I don't have anywhere to record it. I'm always moving to some spot in this house. I wish I had a better lighting, but I don't. What I do have, I make do with it. So thank you for sticking around. Until next time, I guess. Until next time. Ciao.